This is The Poet Speaks, a show all about oral tradition.
Hip-hop and cardboard boxes on the block, reggaeton, bandolero, soy yo, heavy metal, punk rock, and la junior high pop.
And what makes poetry so amazing, so incredible, is its absolute fascination and ability to change our lives. The oral tradition, the reason why we speak. This is The Poet Speaks. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Poet Speaks podcast. Now, today, we're joined by a very special guest. He's a spoken word artist and social worker whose work explores grief, identity, and creative liberation. From his memoir, A Diamond in God's Dirt, to his forthcoming album, Kiss My Art, he crafts stories that speak to the soul and confront life's toughest truths. Everyone, please welcome to the Poet Speaks podcast, Tiriq Rashad. Tiriq, how are you?
Thank you for having me. I'll do the snaps.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. Again, like I said, I love your platform, so thank you for sharing it with me.
Absolutely, and we thank you for being a guest on our platform today. Now, absolutely. I kind of want to start off. I love I think you've created your own unique saying. So you refer to your home as Atlantic-Ville. Now, you are the first person I've ever heard say that. I hope you trademarked that term. I hope you trademarked it. So tell me, I know you described that as, will you tell us what is Atlantic-Ville?
So it's a combination of two cities. I was born and raised in Atlantic City. And then around my, I want to say 8th grade, I moved over to Pleasantville. Most people don't know what Pleasantville is.
No.
Exactly. So I just combined it too. Pleasantville was where I lived from 8th grade until I graduated high school, and my family still lives there now. So I just merged the two. Most people know Atlantic City, obviously. So I don't just say Atlantic City because I shared a great amount of time in both cities. And I took my to them, helping raise and groom me to the person that I am today, both cities. So Atlantic-Ville is Atlantic City and Pleasantville together. So yes.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So I know there's a lot of Pleasantvilles all over the different 50 states. I know Pleasantville, California. I also know Pleasantville, Missouri. I know Pleasantville, New York. Yeah. Tell me what state.
New York. I know New York. I didn't hear California and Missouri too?
Yeah.
No, never.
Okay. For sure. Good to know. Tell us, how is those two places and how they kind of shaped your voice? I guess it's you're a melting pot of both, yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Atlantic City, so most people know, and again, you don't know, a lot of people don't know what Pleasantville is, but Atlantic City people know as just being the casino city. Everybody knows Atlantic City as being casinos where you come and the boardwalk and the beaches and stuff, but it's the hood, to be quite frank. It's the hood. And, it's rough neighborhoods and things like that. And I had to kind of navigate through a lot of the different things around the neighborhood. But aside from that, just my upbringing in my household and just having to help raise my siblings from younger, while also being in a rough neighborhood like Atlantic City was tough in its own. But Atlantic City has given me everything, like just having friends, growing up with friends, and playing football, Little League football, Atlantic City Dolphins, and running all throughout the city, riding my bike, walking around from uptown all the way to downtown, and the west side, and all the different places around Atlantic City. But mainly just being grounded in my household in Atlantic City is what kind of shaped me to be the person that I am. And then moving over to Pleasantville, there's the same things or whatnot. But they all, I say Atlantic City raised me, and then Pleasantville groomed me. They both groomed me, but they did two different things. And also Atlantic City and Pleasantville growing up, and still to this day, but not as much as it was when I was growing up, they were rival cities.
Wow.
You have rival cities and stuff like that where Atlantic City would play Pleasantville football, whatever sports, and they're just clashing and people having fake beefs or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So it was always rival cities. So I remember when I was younger, when we were about to move to Pleasantville, I remember crying, like, I don't want to move to Pleasantville. I don't want to move. I hated all of this stuff. It was funny, but as I got older, as I'm doing now, I look back and laugh, like, what are you doing? Why were you crying?
Yeah.
Why are you crying? But I was so attached to Atlantic City. That's my town. But again, as I've gotten older and growing more mature and stuff, Atlantic City and Pleasantville have shaped Tariq to be the person that I am today. Just based upon our language, how we speak, some of our, and a lot of us will use some terms like from Philly because Philly is right there. So you might hear
Yes.
a bull or
Mm-hmm.
some slang and stuff like that or whatnot. So it's all shaped me to be who I am today. So tip me back to
Absolutely.
the house.
And so kind of dialing into now poetry, I mean, so your writing, I mean, it kind of sits at that intersection, I believe, of artistry as well as healing. I mean, and as you kind of, you have these two careers, I guess people may not see them as similar, social work as well as poet, but they do kind of converge into one, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me, how do you see poetry functioning almost as a form of social work?
Social work is healing work, to be honest, and you got to have empathy to be able to be in the field of social work, right? So, um, poetry is a form of expression, and I've always expressed myself since I was younger, and I've always helped since I was younger, as I previously mentioned. Just being grounded in my household with all of these siblings, and I'm being the second oldest, more like the oldest, because my oldest brother has cerebral palsy and autism. I was just kind of grounded and just helping raise him, and along with my other siblings, and that's kind of where the foundation of me being in social work started. Just empathizing with my brother, not knowing what cerebral palsy and autism was when I was a kid, just being tasked the responsibility of just helping raise him. You know what I mean? And also, while doing that, having my own challenges and emotions and things like that, just finding a way to express myself. And I leaned on a notebook and a pencil or a pen, and I used to just write my emotions and my feelings out, and that kind of blossomed over the years into all of the works that I've wound up creating. So social work ultimately is my foundation from just when I was growing up. And obviously social work is empathizing and doing work that is healing. But I also look at it as a form of just expression. You know what I mean? Just being able to express yourself. The
Yeah.
arts and poetry is just a form of just expressing yourself, and so many other healing things or whatnot. But yeah, so
Yeah.
they merge beautifully and seamlessly, to be honest.
Absolutely. So tell me, when did you kind of discover this? When did you discover poetry was in you or in your kind of in your blood almost? When was that discovery for you? Was it in that childhood, or was it more so as you grew as an adult? Where would you say that moment where you knew writing was something you wanted to pursue?
So I would write, as I mentioned, I would write when I would like some small things like when I was younger, like I would write about girls or whatever like that. And sometimes like my feelings would be hurt about something and I would just write it out. But I never really I never thought anything of it. I was just writing, you know what I mean? But expressing myself along the way because I didn't necessarily go to anyone to kind of express myself. I went to my journal or my notebook. But I discovered that I would write when I got to college. I went to Seton Hall here in New Jersey in undergrad, and all of the challenges and hardships and things that I've been through throughout my lifetime. At that point, I was saying at that point, like, I'm gonna write my story one day. I'm gonna write my story one day. Like, I have something to say. I think it'd be inspiring and motivating and encouraging for people. You know what I mean? And I was just like, okay. And I wound up having to do an extra semester because I was bullcrapping in college and not knowing what I wanted to do and all of these other things, right? And I had to do an extra semester so that I could finish up. But I finished up, and then commencement wasn't. I had a whole nother semester before commencement, so I had time in between the actual graduation ceremony, and between that time, during that time, I didn't have no job. I had nothing, and I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. So my boy, now brother, he had family in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, and he said he actually did the extra semester with me. So he said he was going to go over to St. Croix in the Virgin Islands so he can figure out what his next move is going to be. So at that time, when he first presented it to me, I was just like, more power to you. Kudos. Shout out to you. Do your thing. I love you. I pray for you, etc. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward, make a long story short, I wound up, having a change of heart, and I went. And that was the most life-changing decision I made in my life. While I was there, I was reading. It's like Malcolm X's trip to Mecca. Like it was like a reawakening or an awakening for me. Like I started to find out who Tiriq was, you know what I mean, at that point. And I was reading and writing and creating and applying to schools and doing all of these different things. And that's when I really, really started diving deep into my poetry. At that point, I was just writing and creating and doing this and writing a script and writing my poetry and where I was in my life and all of these different things. And it really started coming out during that time. So yeah, that's when I really started. And I know for a fact it was because I started to really understand my purpose and where I was headed. I didn't quite get it at that point, but I was just starting to scratch the surface and like, okay, I know what God is telling me, So,
yeah. I mean, how important do you think those types of, like you said, I mean, it's like a pilgrimage almost, like how Malcolm X took a pilgrimage to Mecca and came back very, a bit of a different person. Absolutely. How important for you personally is it to take maybe those, I guess, maybe almost those bodily breaks? Do you still find yourself taking those same exact breaks to maybe find that same inspiration again?
Well, first off, it's super important, but with how everybody's life is set up, people got kids, jobs, different things like that. I didn't have anything at that. I just had a girlfriend at the time. No disrespect, but I had a girlfriend at the time, so I had a little more, and she encouraged me to go too. So that was also helpful. But the way people's lives are set up is difficult to do it, but with how my life has shaped out to be, like it's super necessary. It really is. Like, and people might not have that. Like I was away for about 2.5 months. I just left. You know what I mean? And everybody doesn't have the opportunity to do that, but it is necessary. It is very necessary because we got to take care of ourselves. And before I went, I was lost. Like I want to say I had nothing, but practically nothing. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. I just finished with all of my credits and everything for undergrad, and I didn't know what I was lost. You know what I mean? So just back to your question though, it's super important, super necessary. And at this point in my life, I still take those times to, and I have 3 kids and a wife now. So I can't just say, all right, I'm out. I'm gonna go to the Virgin Islands for a few months. No, I can't do that. But there are like you have meditation, you have therapy. For me, I create, but I take my time and I take my time and space to be able to do those things so that I could create all of these things that I do. So it's super necessary, making sure that you make yourself a priority. And that's ultimately what I did when I went away to St. Croix. I made myself the priority so that I can take care of myself, and so many beautiful things came from it. And that's the same thing that I've done now, that I'm doing now, and how I've come to create the things that I've created. So.
Absolutely. And speaking of, beautiful things being created by beautiful, amazing people, Nikki Giovanni praised your ability to capture both the universal and the deeply personal. Well, first and foremost, tell me, how did that come about? Did you two meet? Tell us how the story behind her giving you that, that amazing praise on your work.
Yeah. First and foremost, rest in peace, Nikki, the great Mrs. Nikki Giovanni. Rest in peace. So I never got the honor of meeting her in person or whatnot, but we were able to exchange emails and contact and stuff like that. But with my poetry book, I was just, everything I do is independent. So I Google this, try to figure that out. I wish we had Chat GPT at that time. I'd have been able to reach her sooner, but I went through all of these loopholes just trying to figure out how to reach her and so many other people. And I was just trying to get blurbs for my poetry book at the time. And she wound up reaching back out to me and, looked at my work and everything. And she gave me that beautiful blurb that somebody gave me a beautiful idea to put the quote, not the entire quote, but some of the quote on the hoodie, a hoodie for the merch that I'm selling with my new project. So big love and respect to Miss Nikki Giovanni. She means and she meant to me so much to not just authors and poets and things like that, but just people in general. She meant so much.
Yeah, tell me more. What does it mean when someone, such a great literary giant, someone of such gravity, what does it mean when you hear someone like her praise your work like that to you personally, on a personal level?
On a personal level, it just tells me that I'm doing the right things. I'm headed in the right direction. My voice matters. Sometimes we do these things and podcasts and things like that, and we think, sometimes we question ourselves, like, am I doing this right, or am I going about this the right way and stuff like that. But when you get, nods like that, it's like, okay, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? And just that nod from her lets me know, like, all right. And that reassurance of, I guess, of it being on the hoodie, I think that will also like be like, okay, that's a reminder, like, all right, you don't have all the things that you want. You're not doing you're not in the space that you want to be right now, but Miss Nikki Giovanni gave you the nod. So keep going. You're doing the right thing. So
Absolutely. Now, moving along a bit. So your memoir, it's called A Diamond in God's Dirt. It's a powerful, I feel almost spiritual title. Tell us, where did that come from? And I guess when I hear a diamond in God's dirt, I'm thinking, what dirt did you have to kind of dig through to find your own diamond? Tell me a bit about that title and what that's going on.
God's dirt. You know what I mean? It's dirt, but it's God's dirt. So you got to dust the dirt off, and I'm the diamond that God dusted off. But I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. So one of his songs, his lyrics are like, he's a diamond in God's dirt. I just kind of took it, to be honest, and I use it as mine and created, my autobiography. And the meaning behind it is kind of self-explanatory. It's just like, the dirt is me going through, me being dirty from all of the hardships and challenges and everything that I've dealt with throughout my lifetime. But even though I have dirt and all of these things on me, I'm still a diamond. And God is working on me, shining the dirt off of the diamond so that I can be the best version of myself, and I can help shine God's light on other people. So it's very spiritual. And when you see the cover is actually my mom's hand and my dad's hand. My uncle actually created the artwork, and that's my mom's actual hand, and my dad took a picture and then he like drew it. It's beautiful.
Wow.
And then it's like milk and honey, which is in the Bible, spilled into the diamond, which created the diamond, which is me. So it means that artwork means a lot to me. It means everything to me, because that's my parents molding me to be the person I am, but also again God creating them to create me, and then all of those other spiritual things and connections. So yes.
Wow. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself when writing that memoir?
Oh, me rewind. At that time, man, I was able to overcome a whole lot that I didn't think I'd be able to persevere through. And going back to the title of Diamond in God's Dirt, it wasn't me that got to that point. It was God that willed me to putting that project together, willed me through life to be able to create a project like that. But just me allowing God to work through me to be able to create such a important body of work. And I was able to do so many different things with that body. Like I went to Bus Boys and Poets, and did some poetry and met so many people. And that what to answer your question, I started coming into my own. I realized like, okay, this is what it is. This is what I'm gonna do. And it wasn't just about me just because I love the process of creating and putting something beautiful together, but once it starts connecting, it's like, okay, I'm doing this is the real work right here. When I'm starting to connect with people with the messaging and things that the things that I'm writing about. So just realizing that what I'm creating is actually connecting and I'm doing the work that God wants me to do.
Absolutely. Now, tell me, kind of speaking more of your work, what's so unique about it is, you fuse a lot of jazz, hip hop, and spoken word together. I mean, what do you think specifically those genres, again, jazz, hip hop, spoken word, what do you think they allow you to say or feel maybe that traditional poetry just cannot?
It allows me to express myself in however I want to express myself. You know what I mean? I'm able to talk a little bit on there, be, cool, savvy, whatever you want to call it. But overall, for me, it's just me being able to really just express myself however I want on some cool beats. I'm grounded in 90s and jazz and things like that. So when you listen to my music, that's what you'll hear. You know what I mean? And that's not intentional. It's a subconscious thing. I just gravitate towards, I guess, those kinds of beats because, again, that's what I love. I love the 90s music and things like that. So just being able to express myself as freely as I want to. And I don't even intentionally mean to like I have hooks on my poetry and on my songs. It just comes to me. It naturally just comes to me. I'm not going into it like, all right, I'm gonna write a poem and then I'm gonna write a hook. I'm not going into it like that. I just write the poem, right? And then as I'm hearing the beat, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I'll just create a hook that goes with it. So again, I don't go into it wanting to create a hook. It just comes to me naturally. And I say that humbly, obviously.
Well, it's okay to be not humble sometimes. But I definitely get what you mean. So, speaking, I find it interesting. You love the 90s. And one thing about the 90s, I feel like that was a time of it's so different from today's art, especially in terms of the spoken word, right?
Yes.
Because in the 90s, it was very much defiance. I feel like, Lady of Rage was a big rapper, Public Enemy, NWA, even in the names of our groups, we had defiance in the title. And that I feel like in some ways is a bit more difficult to find in today's cultural landscape. Without getting too political, we don't really have a defiance now. We have a system almost that wants to go with the system that reflects in the art. But what I love about your new album, it's called Kiss My Art. So that title, that feels both defiant, but also very freeing. Tell me what went into this new album and kind of what this new spoken word piece, what was the creativity process for you?
I love how you put that together, and that's spot on. It's really spot on because when you hear Kiss My Art, it's like kiss my, you know what I mean? But I'm also just honoring where I am in my life and honoring my art. But before I get to Kiss My Art, my project When the Heart Speaks, which is Grammy considered right now, thank God. It's super, super important project. But that's the prelude to my album Kiss My Art. But it all revolves around art and me embracing where I'm at in my life right now. And I always come to points where I'm going through so many different things in my life, and then I just start creating. and I was just saying this with a previous interview. Sometimes I feel like I'm Mary J. Blige. You know, you gotta go through some struggle to create something beautiful or whatnot, but you know, it's necessary. You know what I mean? And I know the work is. I take myself outside. I take myself outside of myself because I know my purpose is to help other people, and my story and my journey is not about me. And that's what this project is about. It's about it's healing. You know, it's healing for me. And just embracing who I am as a person, as a man, as an artist, truly coming into my own now. Because I said that before, but I'm truly coming into my own now. Like, this project is elevated more than any other project that I've created, and it's so very important for people to listen to it so that they could heal, so that they could embrace where they are in their journey in life, whether it be through grief, whether it be financial hardship, family problems, jobs, whatever. This project is about embracing it all, good or bad, and just finding a way. If you don't like where you are, you know, you have to embrace it so that you can get to the other side, you know. And it starts with accepting where you are, you know what I mean? And that's the part of embracing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that this body of work is also a tribute to my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my mom in 2021 to a car accident, actually. It was a tragic car accident. So my single to this album, Kiss My Art, No Regrets, is a huge tribute to her. And a few other tracks on there is a tribute to her as well. And like I said, this whole body of work is just in me facing, you know, those tough times, tough situations. Not having my mom here, but saying, okay, Tariq, you got to face this so that you can take steps forward. And if you don't face this, you're not going to be able to take steps forward. So again, going back to me saying it's not about me, it's like, all right, although this is my grief and these are the things that I have to deal with, I'm not the only one who grieves. You know what I mean? I'm not the only lone person who's lost a parent or lost someone. So it's like, all right, well, I have to show people, and not that I intentionally went in it that way, but after I created, I'm like, okay, I can be a voice for other people. Like, all right, well, if I can do it, and I know it sounds cliche, if I can do it, the next person can as well. But I put it on wax, if you may,
Yeah.
through my album. So yes.
Yeah. So that, I mean, speaking of your mom, and again, may her soul rest in perfect peace. I mean, the album actually opens with a voicemail from your late mother.
Yes.
Tell us, I mean, how did weaving, you know, your mother's voice into your art change your relationship maybe with grief and remembrance, or if it, or did it?
So when I first thought of putting her, well, first off, I stumbled across putting her on the track. You know, you lose somebody or whatever, you start going through old text messages and voicemails and things like that. So that's what I was doing. And I'm just listening and crying and questioning God and going through all of my emotions, my feels, as the kids would say. Just going through the process of just grieving. It came to me like, all right, let me just put this on a track.
Okay.
And once I was able to take that step forward, I knew I was ready to start creating again. But grief is forever. Like, grief is not all right. I grieved this month. I'm over it. I'm good. No, that's not how grief works. They say grief gets better with time. For me, it does not. Especially with the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm accomplishing. Having a family and all of these things, I want my mom here. You know what I mean? So it does not get easy. It gets more difficult. But just including her on the album, it was healing for me. It was healing for me. And even these interviews and talking about her is healing for me. It's like a small piece that's being healed every time I talk about her and stuff. And sometimes it's difficult for me to listen to the voicemail at the beginning, or even a song still. And honestly, it's because of repetition too, because the song's just been playing and playing and playing. You know how it is with singles. It's like, all right, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
But honestly, the creating it was healing. Just simply put, it was healing. Listening to her, putting her on the album, on that track specifically, it was healing for me, healing for my spirit, healing for my soul, healing for my mind. Um, it was a whole healing process for me, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and healing seems to be kind of just the centralized theme of your work. But tell
Mm-hmm.
me, I mean, this your new album, again, Kiss My Art, it does seem like, how did you know it had to be infused with music as opposed to all your other pieces, bodies of work you've created, not just poetry on the page? What made you this time kind of just say, you know what, this healing work, this has to be infused with music? What really kind of put you on that track?
Expression and connection. Um, as mentioned, like, I mean, for me, the arts is no with the arts you can express yourself however you want, right?
Yeah.
And with where I was and where I still am to a certain degree, um, I needed a place to be able to just release. You know what I mean? And I knew and I know that me releasing that in the ways that I did on each track is going to connect. So going back to the expression and connection, I just wanted to be able to. I cried on some tracks. I was angry on some tracks, and just going through the natural progression of my feelings and emotions, and that is just that's human, right?
Mm.
And those naturally human emotions and expressions are has and will continue to connect with people, and I know it's going to resonate and help the next person heal along their healing process. So for me, it was just connection, expression, and connection. First and foremost, it was expression. I had to let it out.
Mm.
Had to
Yeah.
let it out. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm so excited to start getting on stages and performing this body of work. I'm
Yes.
super excited because that's going to draw even more connection and amplify my voice in this project to so many more people. So I'm super excited for that.
And when you have such a project that kind of has engaged you in such ways, all of your senses, but also it seems a spiritual sense, how did you know? And I always want to ask an artist this, and sometimes I never have the chance to. How did you know when you were finished making the album? Or how did you know you were finished with this body of work? When did you just say, hey, you know what? I'm done. This is complete now. Or do you ever have that feeling?
Like finished, like completing this actual the album or just period.
Just completing the actual the whole piece, the body of work, the actual album. You're like, you know what, let me send it in for mastering. I'm done now. We no more to add, no more to split this up. We're done. We're gonna send this in for final editing, you know.
I think that was my producer. Shout out to my producer, Akeem Dunkley. He's actually a Grammy nominated producer. So shout out to him. But I had a couple other tracks that I wanted to include as well. Um, for me, sometimes I don't know when it's finished because I be having so much to say. But I guess that's also why you have a team. It's like, all right, we got to cut it at this point. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's difficult being independent too, because sometimes, like prior to this project, actually, I was just doing everything myself, so I can
Oh
cut it
wow.
when I want to cut it.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So if with me having a team, like I was cut at 11 tracks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
stopped at 11 tracks. But I have what, like 4 or 5 additional tracks. But going back to the 90s, right?
Mm.
The 90s, it was 10, 9, 10, maybe 12 tracks total. You know what I mean? So I mean, subconsciously, I give you that with the 11 tracks, to be honest, versus today where a lot of artists are giving you 20 tracks or something like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, but just to answer your question, just having a team and with my producer, um, helping me to kind of narrow the tracks down, and honestly, being there in the studio with him and listening to each track, from start to finish, it felt like it was finished, to be honest, with the very last track, from the No Regrets to Still Here. It was like, all right, that's it. It really sounds like it's done. It's finished. We're done. That's a wrap. You know what I mean? So it's a feeling. It's definitely a feeling, but I had to get to that feeling. You know what I mean? Because I had so much more to say. But that's what the performances and everything is for stage. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Now tell me about, I mean, so this show, this podcast, it's really about the power of the voice of the poet. So I want to know, you as someone that you're a poet, I mean, what do you think is the role of the poet today in our society? With our changing discourse, things are changing by the day. What do you think the role of the poet is in today's world?
the role of the poet is to connect with people first and foremost through emotion and expression. That's my mentality. I always want to encourage other people, and poets along the way, to just express yourself as freely as possible and to be yourself. I think a lot of people out here try to emulate this one or that one and trying to do this or that, when that's not really who they are. So just being authentic in your approach to creation, you know what I mean? I think that's a huge responsibility, and just trying to connect with people through that expression of authenticity. You know what I mean? I think just being authentic to who you are, your goal, your purpose, your mission, will allow you to connect with so many other people. You know what I mean? It's tough out here watching some. You know what I mean? It's tough out here just watching some artists, or whatever, whatever genre. You know what I mean? It's tough. So it's a breath of fresh air when something authentic comes around, and when something authentic comes around, you know it. You know what I mean? And you can weave out the fake or whatever you want to call it as well. So I think the role of the poet is to just be authentic, and express yourself authentically. Be yourself. Be bold and be yourself, no matter what. There's millions and millions and millions of poets that we never even heard of. You know what I mean? I've gone to like poetry slams and stuff like that in New York, and there are so many different types of poets.
Yeah.
So many different types of poets, and sometimes I'll be blown away. But it always takes me back to when I was playing sports when I was growing up, and it's like, all right, don't worry about everybody else. Just worry about yourself. You know, that obviously there are so many other better point guards, shooting guards than you. But we ain't worried about that. Just focus on you bettering your craft, be true to who you are, and you're good. You know what I mean? And that's the same approach that I take with creating poetry and writing and things like that. So like when I created my autobiography, obviously there's trillions of autobiographies. I made a conscious effort not to read any autobiographies because I didn't want to emulate the next author's style of writing. You know what I mean? And the same with, my poetry book and my project right now with Kiss My Art and things like. I try not, and obviously I listen to music, but I try not to like listen to poets so much or artists so much because I don't want to, because I think naturally, we emulate other people too. But I try to stay away from those things so that I can lock in and focus. And it's easy for me to create because it's my story, right? I can't emulate somebody else talking about my story, right? So it's just being authentic to yourself and expressing yourself authentically.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, Tiriq, we have one more question for you today on the Poet Speaks podcast. Tiriq, why do you need to get your words out?
My words are, why do I want to get my words out? Why do I want to get my words out to people, or why do I just want to get my words out in general?
Well, why do you need to get your words out?
Expression. I got to get this out. And self-sabotage, man. Sometimes, we carry these thoughts and ideas, and whatever else we have in our, like grief. We carry all of these things, trauma, all of these things we carry with us from over the years. You know what I mean? And it's important for us to release and let it out because it becomes, starts to decay and rot and mold. And then we're walking around heavy and feeling sick and things like that. And it's important for us to release those things and hit a reset. You know what I mean? And that's been my process throughout my life, and specifically with this project, just trying to embracing where I'm at in my life by accepting all of the things that has occurred with the loss of my mom and the loss of this one and all of these things, accepting it first and then saying, okay, let's go to the drawing board. Let's figure out how we're going to move forward. You know what I mean? And the drawing board is me, my spirituality, talking to God, trying to figure out where he wants me to go, how he wants me to approach it, and different things like that. So that's for me, you know, just trying to find that space to be able to let it out. Just let it out. If we carry it on, carry all of that stuff on, it's just self-sabotage.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tiriq. Big thank you to you for showing up today, being a guest on the Poet Speak podcast. Now, before we wrap up, we would like to know, please drop any social media links, website links, and tell us what you have for the rest of 2025 till and beyond for the rest of the year going on for you.
Well, thank you again, Amanda, for having me on. I'm super, 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 super grateful for you sharing your platform with me. And for the rest of the year, so I think next week they announced the nominees for Grammys. So I'm praying and I'm hoping to God that I am a nominee for Best Spoken Word Poetry Album with my EP, When the Heart Speaks. So anybody listening out there, just send a prayer up for your boy.
Absolutely.
So that I can get the nomination and everything. But you can find my work. I'm an independent artist. My work is on Bandcamp. You can just type Tiriq Rashad in, and my album, Kiss My Art, will come up. I have merch with hoodies. I have a journal, Kiss My Journal, which is pretty dope. The vinyl is on the website as well. Click the link, connect with me. I'm on social media. My Instagram is Tariq_Rashad. Send me a message, follow me, whatever. I love connecting, talking to people about my journey, encouraging, inspiring. I put up posts all the time, every day. So just connect with me, and I appreciate all the love and support along the way.
Absolutely. Again, everyone, a big thank you to Tiriq. Tiriq's, all of his details, all the links will be down below in the details section of wherever you're listening to this amazing podcast. Again, thank you so much for being a guest on today's show, Tiriq.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. And everyone, again, check out all his links in the detail box down below. Everyone, this is the Poet Speaks podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.